And here's my thing: is a faith walk with convenience and comfort really a faith walk at all? Right? Are you really like if you're not pushing yourself, if you're not growing towards being molded and being more like Jesus and being willing to share his love no matter what, like, what were we doing? You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus was willing to die for us much more than we were willing to do anything for him. So.
Welcome back to Ministry Reimagined. This episode was super fun for me because I've known Jacob for about 3-4 years now, and I've known how ministry focused he is for so long, but I never got to actually talk to him to find out why he does the work that he's doing, what's the importance of it, and what he thinks other people should be doing too. Stay tuned. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing all right. How are you, Celeste?
I'm doing fantastic.
Nice.
I'm gonna let you talk about your experience a little bit, but I've known you've been part of like proximity and Vesper sets. You've preached a sermon. Was that a year ago?
Yeah, one place. Yeah, I helped out with one place last year. Yeah,
you've just done so many different ministry things that I want to talk about.
For sure.
So first, I want to ask, this is kind of a weird question that I only ask some people to start with. If I were to ask your friends how they would describe you, what would they say?
I'd say they describe me as not rowdy, but maybe a little like outlandish, but also like calm in a sense too. I know that's kind of like the opposite of each other, but like no, I would say all over the place, but like passionate. I think yeah. Like I'm very like if I'm into something. Like if I'm like planning something, it's because I like really enjoy it, and I like, you know. And then if it's something that I'm not enthusiastic about, I think enthusiastic actually is probably a better word. Yeah, enthusiastic, friendly, hopefully. Yeah, kind, hopefully. I don't know. Yeah, that's at least what I hope. So, yeah,
that's good. What are some things that you would be enthusiastic about, or that you're passionate about?
Yeah, ministry. And I'd say like, I wouldn't say I'm enthusiastic about people in general, but like I think I'm enthusiastic about bringing people together, like seeing like, you know, when people talk about like friend group A and friend group B, and then like that? Like for example, like you might dabble with one friend group and there's another friend group or whatever that you kind of like are more close with or whatever, but you're close with people in those groups or whatever, and then seeing people connect and click because like, I don't know, you organized a function or something like that. Like seeing people just come together, I think in unity is actually pretty cool, and bonding. I think, I really enjoy seeing and developing like deep friendships, like, you know, just talking about like, you know, spirituality and stuff and like all that stuff, even though a minute ago you're just like joking about like brain rot. I think that's so funny, and but that's like that's what I live for, you know. Yeah.
Interesting. That's good. Well, from what I do know, I know that you were in, I was going to say an AA kid, but a lot of people can say AA as something different.
Andrews Academy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I went there for 2 years, actually. I only did my junior and senior year there. Yeah, my freshman and sophomore year was like a little junior academy school in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah.
Not around here?
No, it's in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Say less. But from that experience, from what I do know, walk us through how you picked Andrews as school. Was it like, I went to AA, that means I go to AU? Is that how it
Pretty much, yeah, that was the intention. So in 2020, my family moved from Kalamazoo area to Berrien. So for that goal to, also Andrews Academy, I was saying like this area of the woods definitely has really good education. Not to diss on anything, I think that's one of their strong suits. Yeah. No. But like, I think their education was really good, but also some of our friends went there from our church as well. And it was like the diversity too was also huge as well. And also the intention to go to university here as well. My family is like Andrews through and through. And so I get scholarship too because of that. So,
hey, that's a big thing.
Yeah. And so, moving from Kalamazoo to, actually I lived in New York for like 8 years and then moved to Kalamazoo when I was 8. And then around 2020, I moved here. Goodness, been here for 6 years. That's crazy.
It doesn't feel like that.
No, not at all. So been in Berrien for 6 years, and so yeah, that's why just
Yeah.
it's been the school. But also I liked Andrews. Like so like it seemed very, being an AA kid, I would say it's very different from being an Andrews kid, like Andrews University or whatever. It's a whole different climate and ball game, because actually I struggled my first year. I think like I didn't like it. I was like, man, this is so different from high school. You would think it's the same because it's like on the same campus, but it's not at all.
What made it different?
Like the events, I think, and like the way people go about life here. I think AA, you know, you're seeing people in the hallway. You're like, you know, you're interacting in a more smaller environment, and like you know, you'd have like class vespers, which it could be at someone's house together. I think there's more like low key social environments. However, like, you know, I remember like freshman year, there was like a culture club event every single weekend.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, how do you get to know someone randomly and not just stick with your, you know, your AA friends or something? Like even like freshman orientation, like that was, I didn't go to anything because I was like, I know where everything is or whatever. And meeting people, like you have to go out of your way to do it here, I think, but it's worth it. Like it doesn't take a lot to be like friendly on this campus, I feel.
Yeah.
You get also a wide range, goodness, of different people. Like you have the people that aren't that social, people that are kind of, but the people that are social, like running everything and super burnt out and all that stuff. So also getting involved as well. Like here you kind of have to, it's like a gradual build up, right? You build up your experience, right? But at Academy you just run for something or whatever, you know?
I mean, I guess you always knew you wanted Andrews, but did you always want like a Adventist school?
Oh, not always, I don't think, because I do want to be a lawyer eventually, and I was thinking like, oh, like University of Michigan or something like that, but then I was like looking at my grades and I was like, but no, I was thinking like, you know, something different, you know what I'm saying? We always live in this bubble and whatnot, especially like being in Berrien Springs, right? Or even just growing up in Adventist school my entire life. I'd be like, okay, it'd be cool to like, you know, do something else. But seeing that Andrews was so different compared to like, you know, being in a small school, or I mean, even Andrews Academy is relatively small. You know, I think this was still a different enough environment, and also you're with your friend. Like I also having my friends that I've been like family with since high school, that I'm still very close with, and I'm grateful for that. I don't think that's also wrong or weird either. People like to trash on that. You can be friends with someone for a while. I think that's special. I think that was also an extra incentive. Like, wow, I get to like do, you know, life with my friends for a while. So that's awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome. Let's talk about the first time you got involved on campus. Walk us through how that process went.
Oh yeah, this is some good content right here. So I like SASA, the South Asian Student Association, that my aunt used to be like the president back in the day. And so like I was always kind of destined to like be an officer and whatever. And so like I was involved with that, right? And they knew I kind of like dabbled in praise team or whatever, like in high school. So we were doing a collaboration with Impact in like November of that year or something. And they're like, Jake, yeah, you're in charge of music or whatever. And I was like, for what? And I was like, okay. And that was a whole like scuffle or whatever. But basically, yeah, they were like, you know, you're going to sing for Impact or whatever. And as like the South Asian representation. And so, yeah, my first ever worship set at Andrews was Impact.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was awesome. That was a fantastic set. But I just think actually how I got involved though, overall, I would say it was auditions. Like Darius just texted, Dean Bridges texted me and was like, you know, like come through, you know, I know like, cause I know you sing and whatever. But actually, now that I think about it, there are people on this campus who recruit like heavy. I think that is also as a person who kind of does that now. Yeah. Like, cause I think he did recruiting and whatnot. So he was like, he said like to the social VP, like, oh, he sings. He has a group of friends that sings and whatever. And then I think she like texted me on Instagram like, oh, you want to sing for the Nest or whatever. I couldn't do it that week, but I think the first time I actually did something like that was, that Impact set for like singing wise. And then auditions was I think sometime like October or something. And then Ministry Fair. That was with one place. One of the pastors that came to my church, he like knew my name, and so like he came over and was like, hey, like I met you, blah 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 blah, because he preached at my church over the summer, and then he was like, you know, you want to be involved with this team or whatever, and I thought, you know, maybe and this was one place, and so I was on the discipleship team, which is the creative team back in the day, so we would plan stuff, and honestly I was hoping for community. I was like, because I have my friends but I barely see them, they're all kind of like, you know, doing whatever, and I was like, you know, this would be something cool to do on like Friday afternoon. I have nothing to do, you know. So we were just planning stuff for the service and whatever. And it was a really good community actually. He fostered a lot of stuff. We had outings at his house. We went to like Bowl of Pho a couple times. It was awesome. And it was crazy though. Was like I was just a volunteer that year, and then like 2 years later, I'm on the staff as a pastor at one place. So like that's So it's those little things, like getting involved like that could actually like go a long way. So I will say there are people that ask, and I think that's the key to getting involved on campus is just, you know, when people are asking, make yourself willing. Here I am, right?
Do you think if you weren't recruited, do you think you still would have put yourself out there?
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm the type of person who needs like something. I need to do something that I like in order to function, like in general. Like I would say like last year was really rough and whatnot. Like just I had people that close to me, like my family, like just have hospitalizations and whatnot, and that really affected me and whatnot. But however, in the midst of that, like in these trials and whatnot, I like ministry is like what I love. Like I love it, gives me purpose, you know, and that's what kind of kept me going for a little bit. Like last year, like it was, and it was like community also, like that is community as well, right? When you see a praise team or whatever, like those people know each other. They and like also that a praise team is more than just like, you know, a group of people who might not know each other just singing together. No, it's community, it's uplifting God and worship, right? And so that is like a great support for people. I even know people that like this is their life, right? That is how they show community and fellowship, right? Is through these meaningful connections, through ministry. So yeah.
How would you define what ministry is to you?
Ministry and I have an interesting relationship, okay? Because I think it's very possible to worship ministry, right? Because I think, man, if ministry like was taken away from me, if I can never, you know, like speak up front or like sing up front or whatever, would I have a relationship with God? Right? Like because you can be upfront doing whatever and like singing or whatever, but like it's behind that closet, it's behind that closed door. Like, are you fostering a relationship with God? Are you pouring into that, like in that prayer room, if you will, right? And I even saw this one reel as I scroll constantly. You know, if you were to never be upfront, would you be happy with the proclamation of God's word still being going forth, right? Even if you're not involved with it, right? And so that's what I mean when like I have an interesting relationship with ministry, because I think, is it possible that I may have worshiped ministry instead of God in the past? Yeah, absolutely. I would be like, oh man, I'm singing for one place this weekend, so you know, I got to be locked in. You know, I got to be locked in because this sermon I'm doing. And honestly, I mean that's real. I think that's human. But I think ministry to me in my own life has been really that scenario that I'm setting up, right? It's just like, you know, I have to be this way because I'm helping others, and you know, but like, are you pouring into yourself as well? You're giving that life saving care to others, but are you making sure that you receive that life saving care to yourself? Yeah.
What's a good way that you like you said, you found yourself in that spot of worshiping ministry? How do you get out of that? How do you?
Yeah, like I said, it's pouring into that secret place, and I'm saying this is easier said than done, like because I was telling you about how ministry is a community and it's that fellowship. There's absolutely nothing wrong with engaging in that and pouring into that, right? But it's understanding, like, you know, talking to God, like having a relationship with God can just not just be you know, a Bible study or a you know, a deep 3-hour-long prayer session where you're like crying tears about, you know, the state of the world. It could just be a walk in nature, or just talking to, you know, or even like staying up at night, just like looking at the ceiling, like just thinking. That I don't know, that might sound a little crazy, but yeah, I think how I got out of that loop would be just to pour into that quiet secret place. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. I want to ask more about so you've been involved in praise teams and all those things. How did you get into the pastoring side of it? If you would say that you're even in that.
Yeah. So my senior year of high school, I ran for class pastor because I just thought it was cool. I don't know. Like I saw like graduation like the year before, and I was like, oh, that seems like a cool thing. And the dude was cool. Like I'll give credit to him. Like he was like the first person that I ever saw that was like funny, like and like chill, but like love the Lord as well. I'm not saying that people that love the Lord aren't like cool, but like he like I could hang out with him and like laugh, like, and like he was genuine, you know what I'm saying? Like I barely knew him, but he came up to me and like was really friendly. And then he was the senior class pastor like 2 years before I was. And just seeing him up front, like actually, and like he preached a word, and I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. And so that kind of inspired me to like, you know, whoa, like even though I'm kind of like, you know, goofy, I guess, I could still, you know, help people like spiritually and whatever. And I've done like, you know, I would do little chapel talks in my small school or whatever, and growing up. But I realized it gave me like a sense of fulfillment, you know. But if I were to backtrack, like, are you worshiping that sense of fulfillment? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we should really contemplate as people in ministry. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, that was cool. And then eventually I started like singing here and there. Actually, I got voluntold by Evan Keys to sing for chapel. And then that's kind of how I got involved with like praise team at AA. And then praise team at AU is when I actually started leading. And then some people that kind of took me under their wing was Peter Flores. He's a seminarian. He poured into me kind of like with the leading aspect. He was the worship pastor of one place at that time. And then he asked me to worship lead. Can I tell a story actually?
Yeah,
okay,
please.
so yeah, so basically I worked at this camp and there were, I don't know, it was just like some miscommunications maybe. I'm not sure. I could never speak to their heart posture, but there was like some issues or whatever, and I think they may have misread my enthusiasm for ministry. Like I said, like I'm also very ADHD, so like I was like, we gotta do this. I want to like, you know, like this is how song should sound and blah blah blah. And they might have like misread that, I think, and they like essentially like the last week of like camp, they were like, you know, this person like brought some other person together and like had a little meeting with me and like was like, you know, we just feel like your heart posture is not like, you know, like there. We feel like you're, you know, kind of like, I don't know, like competitive when like you want to make this all really good and blah blah blah. Cause like this one dude I was playing basketball with, they brought over and he was like, oh, I just noticed you're competitive in basketball, and I was like, that doesn't apply to this. But anyways, So anyways, and I was like really distraught. I was like, I'm never gonna sing again. Like this is horrible. Like, you know. And then the week after, the worship pastor from one place was like, hey, Peter, who's been a mentor to me, was like, hey, like, you know, you want to be a full-time worship leader at one place. And so my sophomore year, that was literally like a week after that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was crazy. And what's even crazier is that the year after, he asked me that I was the worship pastor at one place, which is So that's definitely like whenever I think of that story and I think of ministry, I'm like, oh, is this even like real? Is this like something worth? I'm like, yeah, that's not a coincidence, you know. Remind me of the question again.
I don't remember what the question was, but I know I want to keep going to that story. I want to ask when you were feeling
I never want to do this again, like I was
when you were in that state, how did you get out of that? Was it just like a yes, like when that guy asked you to be worship whatever?
A leader on the next year. Well, one, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't feel qualified at all, because like when I first started singing, like I had like I could sing like here and there, but I couldn't like, you know, harmonize or like on spot, or like, you know, like lead effect, like ad lib or something like that. Like I would see people that are super experienced and like, man, like, and I would consider that even today, like I'm not like I would say like, you know, like the best singer by any means, but like it's about the not enthusiasm, but like the effective leadership and like, you know, pouring into people and like leading people. That's a huge part of that as well. And sorry, that's a side tangent, but
no, that's good.
Yeah, I would say how I got myself out of that was believing in someone that like not chose me, but like believed in me, kind of like recognizing that. I'd be like, wow, you know, it's not, and also understanding it's not what other people say about you, it's what God says about you, and God will show people. He will send those little angels in your life, if you will. You know, it's just to like affirm you in what you're doing. Like, because I felt very unaffirmed in that situation, and I was going through it. Yeah, but honestly, like, yeah, I'm glad that happened. If that makes sense. Yeah.
How would you, because there's been lots of stories on people that misrepresent what God looks like and what Christianity is and all that. How, like you said, even with that girl, how would you combat that? Like, how has there been any situations?
Oh, can we dive into that? Like, we'll just first say, like, saying that to someone's crazy. Like just to be like, yo, I just feel like your heart posture's in the wrong place. Like, bro, I'm 17. Like, come on now. Like, yeah. So I think, as interesting as that was, I think that was a growing experience for me. To one, just give compassion and like understand, like, okay, maybe, because also with my ADHD and like just me being enthusiastic about things, maybe I'm like inconsiderate of like, oh no, this is how we're doing, you know, or whatever. But like understanding, you know, just understanding, like, you know, maybe their heart posture, or because honestly, I don't want to do what they might be doing to me, right? Being like, oh, they just dislike me as a person. That's why they're saying that. Yeah. That's why, because they were threatening, like, well, not threatening, I don't know if that's the word, but like saying like, hey, I don't think you can sing, you know, this song anymore. Like, what? Yeah, and it was a whole thing, and that's the thing. That's why I got so discouraged. But I kid you not, the week after, he calls me out of nowhere. It's not even like I text him like, hey man, because I was supposed to lead a set, like, he confirmed it in May, right? But then he called me to be like, hey, do you want to be a full-time worship? Like, wow. I think I got out of the shower and I was like, I saw the text. I was like, I just threw the phone. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I remember, like, I always wanted to like worship lead, like maybe not lead even actually. I just want to be part of sets and be like, oh, I want to grow. Like, I'm the type of person to be like, man, that seems something cool. I want to grow in that, like, you know, and like be mentored and learn. And then immediately I was just thrown in the fire. That's a whole other thing too. I was just thrown in the fire, not knowing anything. I kind of knew some stuff, but like, I did not expect that at all. And then, like, if you were to tell me now that like I'm like worship director at like Andrews, I would like be like, what? I'm not qualified at all. So God definitely moves in mysterious ways. Yeah,
that's good. Interesting. But yeah, going back to your pastoring, how did that? Yeah,
so the year after all that stuff happened, some of my friends, Mahal and Glenelle, they were the worship pastors the year after this dude. And they were like, hey, you know, we're thinking like, because that's how it usually works in one place. They look from within and be like, okay, who's something like that we can involve more. And so they asked me like, hey, would you want to be worship pastor next year? And yeah, so I was like, yeah, for sure. Because I'm not gonna lie, one place saved my life for sure. Like, I was just really, really like depressed, down, especially after that situation. My grandma got hospitalized like for the first time, and like that, I was in a dark place, you know, that first semester of sophomore year. And like they just asked me that, and just one place being a community, that brightened everything for sure. So I think that's like ministry in like the best light possible for sure.
I want to ask out of my own curiosity, and feel free to answer, not answer, whatever, but I want to ask why one place? Because there's so many different churches, especially in this area. Why one place? I don't want
to say it's coincidence, but I think that's just where God led, right? Because I'm not going to lie, like, the one place is very like contemporary, like environment or whatever. I grew up in a very like you've been to my home church, like it's traditional, like it's not like they're chill, like, you know, but one place is very like, you know, progressive in the sense of like, you know, how like worship is looked at, right? Like you can have like a screen in the back of your, you know, you can have like a drum set and like all that stuff. I mean, these are not new ideas. Maybe in like the Adventist world it is, right? But yeah, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. I love different. Like if I love me a good production. Like I think of like worship and I'm like, I want to make this stacked and this is awesome.
Yeah.
Not because of like performance or anything like that, but like I don't think it's a sin to have a stacked program, or like making something cool. And that's kind of like how One Place kind of happened. So yeah, I think just God kind of like led there through Pastor Randy, who's the one who asked me to be part of discipleship, just kind of folded out that way. Because I think I had actually applied for like during ministry fair to like, I think like PMC I think New Life greeting. I think I greeted for New Life one time randomly. That was interesting. Like that, yeah. I just because I don't do greeting a lot, like so. But I was just willing to put myself out there wherever I'm willing to serve. That's one thing I think. Like you said, like how do you get involved in ministry on campus? It's just a willing heart. Like if you're willing to do anything, right? Even if it's not something ideal, that goes a long way. So yeah.
I will say that's something that I'm noticing, especially a lot in your stories and everything. You've, even in situations where you feel like you're not qualified, you're still like accepting them, I feel like, without even questioning it.
Like that's another thing in ministry too. Like, can you say no to things, right? Because burnout's a real thing. I think I can. I think I'm doing a better job of it, especially with like a bigger role and whatnot. And also just being more stressed, I guess, when it comes to like schoolwork or life. I've definitely learned to that. But like I said, when it brings so much fulfillment or whatever, like, and you're going to want to get that, right? But then I would argue, like, you have to make sure that you're rooted, and like you have that foundation, because if you don't, then like, your heart posture can get messed up. You're not leading people effectively. Your communication can get messed up, right? So it's very important to say no, and in those certain instances. I was thinking about this actually. I realized for a worship set that I'm actually pouring in a lot too. I could say like in a year, I think I can maybe do like 8 maximum if I'm actually being real, like without it stressing me out. I measure actually, like say I were to plan a program or something, I measure how stressed I am, like as like a criteria of how like well it went, if that makes sense. So like I remember one set I did last semester, even though life was falling apart, everything flowed. Everyone was like, it was such a good like time that like during practice it didn't feel like a chore. Everyone was like wanting to be there. Everyone was talking, but it was a productive practice, right? And then actually one of my friends, as we were walking back to the dorm, he's like, yo, do you want to go to like my house and like have potluck? Like that was such a fun time. That's what ministry should be. It shouldn't be burning out. It should be like, and we fellowshipped after singing, and that was a great time as well. That's ministry ideally, but I think part of it is, you have to say no in those incidences. So, you're able to pour out of yourself. Like I said, you're giving that life-saving care to others. Make sure that you're receiving that as well. Also, I have to give credit to my friend. Jelani, he told me that saying. So,
what's your personal favorite way to take a step back and like take a step back and reground and
so I mean, the way I would do it in years past would be to like visit my grandparents in Kalamazoo and whatnot. Like they're like my safe space, and like they love pouring into me, and like whether it be like my grandma's food and whatnot. It's just like that's my happy place, and also especially like their health is like not the best and whatnot, and I'm just so grateful to hang out with them. So I would say that was like my kind of thing. Like now I'd say I want to experience it too, like especially with the proximity. Like this is the first time I'm doing it, I guess, but I'm gonna be like not upfront too much. Like I might just make an announcement, but I'm gonna be greeting actually. Like I'm gonna be like in the pew experiencing it and be like, okay, I'm gonna actually be taking notes, because we're gonna post like the notes for Instagram and whatnot. But I'm gonna be like experiencing it. I actually at the beginning of this year, every single time I went to church here on campus after leading something, it was like God was definitely like speaking through like a testimony or like the set list and whatnot. Specifically in my life, it was addressing the situation in my life specifically, and I was like, yeah, that's receiving that life-saving care, So yeah, that's kind of how I take a step back, is maybe experience the thing that I'm like planning, or just like, going back home to family.
I'm going to ask you my favorite question that I love asking young people specifically.
Okay.
I always wonder, especially in our generation, there's lots of times where we can stray away from growing up in the church, where you can stray away from it. And a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So I like asking people that are in ministry and so passionate about ministry, why they haven't.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. I would say like I said, growing up Adventist, traditional. Well, I grew up in a more like urban environment in New York and whatever, and it was like definitely not as like conservative traditional as like Michigan is. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, like I'm like New York's hype, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah. And then I came to like Michigan, I was like, oh, this is awful. But I mean, like socially though, Michigan's cool, if that makes sense. Like you got to go to, like I thought it was like Campus Saba was like the coolest thing ever. And like, yeah. And so, however though, like I went like these small school environments, like there's horror stories. I'm not saying that was me, but like, there's some interesting, I've heard some crazy things in my life, some crazy hypocrisy I've seen, right? However, I would say I have a family that is deeply rooted in Christ, and I'm very grateful for that. I have examples of people that like, they are rooted in what they believe, and they actually like live it out. Like, obviously they're not perfect people by any means, right? But they're like my heroes, right? And I'm not to say like, oh, I'm still Adventist or still like Christian because I want to make them proud or anything like that. But I've seen Jesus' love in them, and I think that's powerful. I then, like I said, I moved to Andrews and whatnot, and seeing a diverse like environment and like a free worship, that changed my life, because I was kind of going through the motions and like, this is what I have to do to like maintain this relationship with God or whatever. And just seeing like young people on fire for God was inspirational to me. And however, I would say I also experienced friends who had unbelief, right? In my entire like friend group growing up, I think majority of them are probably not even Christian now. I'm like, dang, what did we do wrong? Yeah. Like, and not to say them like a condescending way by any means, because they're great people. But like, we all had the same environment growing up. Like, where did it going wrong? And I know their families are great people, whatever. But they saw a lot of hypocrisy. They went to like certain schools where there was like some drama and whatever, and it's completely valid, right? Like, well, trauma's a real thing, right? Hurt's a real thing, like, and I've seen that, like, obviously, like I shared that story about hurt, experiencing that, like that I've never felt so close to God, yet never wanting to be part of the church ever again, like, it's experiences like that can really like damage someone, right? So why I haven't though is because I've seen people who are actually like rooted, but also I have experienced it for myself. And also fast forward a little bit, like I would say my sophomore year, meeting friends that didn't believe or like lost their faith. And actually, I don't know if you ever debated a seasoned atheist, but like the statistics show that I think atheists are more biblically literate than Christians, right? Which is crazy. But like, yeah, just understanding like those deep apologetics like questions or whatever, like, why does God allow this? Why does God allow that, right? Like I lost my dad when I was like 11, like, right? Like, why did bad things have to happen to good people, right? Like my grandma who like raised me, like she's in the hospital for like nearly like more than a year, like almost a year, like, so like why do people that I love suffer, right? All these deep questions like that actually made me like, for the first time I actually went back and like reevaluated my faith for like the entirety of my sophomore year. Honestly, like emotionally I was going through it, right? And I kind of like was trying to find every counter argument to like, why I should believe in God and whatever. And which sounds crazy because simultaneously I'm up front like leading and like being like, oh, believe in Jesus, all this stuff.
Well, that's how you know that what you're preaching at the top is actually true and what you actually believe in, and not just what you've heard, because you wrestled with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's my name actually. Like to wrestle, like Jacob, to wrestle, and like with God. It also means deceiver.
What? That's
well.
your name?
Yeah. Jacob translates
to like
to wrestle with God.
Okay.
I mean Jacob wrestled with God.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I very much resonate to that story actually, because actually in that story, I'm pretty sure he's like, I'm holding on and I won't let go until you bless me, right? And God, I think, like, struck his hip and he walked away with a limp. But like sometimes, like, you need to walk with a limp in order to know you need to rely on God, right? Also, I think I saw this one thing. It was like the fact that, like, you're angry, the fact that, like, you feel this way towards something that doesn't exist. Does that make sense? Like that, But I think like the fact that I was wrestling is good. I wouldn't recommend, though, reevaluating your faith, because at the end of the day, faith is a choice.
Yeah.
Belief is, I've heard belief might not be, I don't know. Like, because you can, I can believe, like, that someone has, like, 5 toes, but I haven't actually, like, seen it, or, like, I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But, like, I do believe faith is a choice. And the truth is, backtracking, I saw a sermon by Kevin Wilson, and it was like, where else do I go? He was an atheist for like a week. He gave up on God because he was going through it. He said, where else do I go, right? What hope do you have, right? And it's not me because, like, I want salvation or I want heaven, right? Obviously, that's great.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, if God isn't real, like, then morality is just opinion, in my, and like, in my view at least. I think there's also a plethora of evidence, like the world had to start somehow. Like, it can't just, things just don't appear. Nothing can create anything, I think, so I'd say, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there'll be days where I'm like, God, are you real? Like, but like, and there's other days where I could preach a whole sermon, but that's kind of like my faith journey. That was long. My apologies.
No, that was awesome. You said many different really good things in there. I will say I like the emphasis on questioning God. Not questioning God, but more of just like
wrestling.
Wrestling kind of just to see if things are true, because I feel like if you don't, and I've been told by a couple people not to, and just to accept things by true, because that's what faith is.
So I mean, the disciple Thomas, right? Like, when Jesus, so he's saying, like, like, Lord, is it really you, right? And he's like, and Jesus doesn't say, like, hey, yo, accept me by faith. What you doing?
Yeah.
No, he extends his hand. He's like, touch my hand, see the nail scars, right?
Yeah.
But then he says, blessed are those who believe yet have not seen, right? I think God commends faith, right? But he's also an understanding God, right? He's a God of proximity, no pun intended. Like, he wants to be near to us. He doesn't desire just to, to save you. He desires to know you as well, right? And he does know us. I think relationship is what love is, right? That's why we have sin, actually. The reason we have sin is because of love, right? Love is a choice, right? And we chose something else, right? Because if there was only, like, one thing, then that wouldn't be love. Like, that's why also, like, even a romantic relationship, right? There has to be love on the mutual sides, right? If it's a one-sided thing, like, where you have to do that, that's not love. That's why. That's the thing. Like, if I believe God's real, right? I believe love, like, God is love, right? Therefore, love operates in choice, right? But why does love operate in choice? Does that make sense? Right? So, I believe because that's how the framework has been for eternity. In the scenario that, like, people believe that God's not real, then is love a choice? You know what I'm saying? Like, we just kind of, like, constructed that. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's such a big phase in people, especially that grew up in the church. I feel like you have to. But what's scary is when people start questioning God without an open mind, and then they stop there without trying to find the answers, and then that's when they reject God. That's
for sure. I've seen, but it's like I empathize with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there. Like, like, you're just, goodness gracious. Like, I've seen, like, some horrible suffering happening. And it's just like, God, that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's absolutely no, like, childhood cancer or something like that. Like, I think just seeing a reel of that pop up, I, like, throw my phone down. I'm like, yo, what? Of course that, but, like, I understand, like, that, like, what's the solution, right? There's no hope. Like, if I'd rather have hope. I choose hope. you know, like that things are gonna get better, right? I think someone said like like believe in God, like if that isn't a thing, like, you know, I'm willing to believe a lie, right? I'm willing to believe that lie, like there's something after this, that, you know, this helped me have like a moral framework to love others well, to appreciate people, to lift the lesser of these up, right? You know, that's like the greatest lie I could ever, you know. I'm not saying it's a lie, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's, it's worth it, you know what I'm saying?
Because like the example of the child with cancer, that's like, whether you believe in or not, the child is still gonna have cancer. Like that's not gonna change anything. But
well, even then though, like Christians have the hope of, you know, that they could be healing. Or you know, the resurrection. So
that's true. That's like saying, would you rather have hope that this kid might be healed or have nothing?
I would say so. But however, I understand the sentiment of like, well, why is it allowed? Why is it, you know?
For sure,
but that, like, the problem still exists, you know? And so, where else do you go? Where else do you go? It was powerful,
I want to ask more about getting involved. If there were, to these new, you're a senior now, right? I'm wondering, what would you say to like the freshmen, the people that are just coming in excited, but they don't know?
I have a whole sermon on this. Pull up January 23rd at Proximity.
Wow, that's very soon, huh?
Yeah.
But what would you say to those people that are kind of scared to get involved, but they don't want
or those people that could get involved, but then they're just complaining, and they're like, oh, blah, 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 but like you could do something about it. Yeah, those people too. No, I don't know if it's a COVID thing, and I was really contemplating, like, you know, how many worship leaders, that's my department, right? How many worship leaders do we have on campus, right? Relative to, like, we lost a lot of ones that graduated and whatnot that were heavily influential, right? And I think, you know, there are people that do want to be involved, right? And I don't even care if, like, you have a good voice even. Like, well, obviously if you're, like, tone deaf, like that, you know, like, maybe evaluate, you know, which ministry is for you. But, like, you know, a willing heart with, like, someone who's, like, you know, not, like, incredible by any means, but is moldable, is willing to learn. That goes such a long way, right? This university, like, you don't just go to a Christian university just because of the academics, right? Like, obviously prioritize, like, you know, that, you know, don't slack off. But we're here to grow, like, you know, and be world changers, if you will, right? So you're here to foster your spiritual talents as well, right? And your and how do you love people better? How do you, like, you know, show them a picture of God, right? If you believe yourself to be a Christian, you want to pour into that. I would hope, at least, right? And so, speaking on my department with worship, I would say, put yourself out there. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? There's nothing wrong with, you know. Please don't triple text me though, because I've had that happen. Because my job isn't to, like, you know, put you up front. It's to get you contacted and involved, right? And to connected, if you will, to get them connected. Join community, pull up to events, and when I say put yourself out there, just meet people, right? Even if you're introverted, right? There's still ways to get in contact with people. The goal is to have auditions as well, and that's not like, you know, you're good enough, you're not good enough. No, it's to how can we get you involved and how can we mold you, right? To grow, because have a growth mindset as well, right? When you want to get involved. Also, don't be comfortable. Do not be comfortable, right? Like, there's, even with, like, cultural club experience, which I dabbled with, there's people who are, like, bio pre-med majors who are, like, doing, like, super duper hard classes, right? Like physics and, like, all that good stuff. Yet they're, like, running an entire, like, thing. Why? Because they care. Because they want to do that, right? College is a time to grow yourself, right? To work and study, right? And that to get involved in ministry means you might have to work as well, right? And on top of studying, right? You know, you might be restless a couple of days, right? And here's my thing: is a faith walk with convenience and comfort really a faith walk at all, right? Are you really like, if you're not pushing yourself, if you're not growing towards being molded and being more like Jesus and being willing to share his love no matter what, like, what were we doing? You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus was willing to die for us much more than we were willing to do anything for him. So, yeah.
Wow. Clip that.
Yeah.
Since being involved in so many different ministries on campus, I'm sure you've noticed some things that could be done better. Whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna, yeah, so I would say we definitely need to, I think it's a lack of mentorship and a lack of initiative as well. Like I said, it's comfort. Like people, there's no way we have like how many students? Like almost 1,000 or something like that. There's no way in like a group of 1,000. Like at least I'm gonna speak for my department, right? I could also speak to like culture clubs and all that stuff. But like, there's no way that like out of 1,000 people, there's only like 40 people that like are actively up front. Like you see, it's the same people up in front over and over. People like to complain, oh, they're just getting their friends. But also, not a sin to get your friends to, worship with. Like, it's almost like God asks us to do that. Like, here's my thing is like, become their friends. Join the community, right? Yeah. There's, this might be a hot take, but like, I was talking with my barber about this actually, because he worships leads as well. But like, I think the majority of people that are like, oh man, I auditioned, but like no one asked me, and like, like whatever, like, and they know they're talented, right, or whatever, but they just didn't get asked. Maybe someone had a freaking scheduling error. Maybe someone's like busy too, like, I don't know. Sorry, that was very violent.
No.
But like,
shows you're passionate about it.
Yeah. Like I just, like, people are human as well, right? So like, it's not, don't take things personal if like someone didn't like completely forgot to ask you to sing, right? You're not, and like you don't know them that well, or like, if your heart posture is in the right place, and and you're actually doing it for the right reasons, and please pray on that, right? I think God is delighted. God is so happy, right? He's worthy of your worship and praise, right? Like he loves you so much, he's willing to die for you, right? So of course he will do anything to, like, if your heart posture is in the right place, he will make a way. I hear those stories about student missionaries who like can't, like, I don't know if I can do this, or I won't be able to afford this, blah blah blah. Like God always sends that check right in the nick of time, right? I think the same logic applies for those that are like wanting to get involved, because this is a mission field as well. Truly, I mean, that's kind of like, I tell myself that's why I haven't done student missions, because this was the mission field. Yeah, that was a good deflection, but yeah, I think initiative, and I think yes, we can do mentorships. Nigel set up a program last year with a mentorship thing where experienced worship leaders on campus took like 2 like freshmen or sophomores underneath them, and yeah, I think that's really good. Right. But I was like, and I organized, like, I kind of continue that with him, like, of, okay, these people go well together. They can meet and they can pour into them. That's awesome. However, it would be ideal to structure that every year. But that's only a certain amount of people who want to be a part of that. Right. Overall, what works is like, an event being like, hey, pull up. We're going to pour into you. We're going to, like, teach you this. And I think that works. Some people like are against auditions, which I can understand. If not executed properly, they can be bad. But I think if you're pouring in to people like intentionally, I think there's you're gonna be fine. Yeah. I think the key is structure. When I'm gone, will this be able to continue, right? That's what I think about this mentorship thing. Like, it needs to be set up every year by the worship director. Yeah. I think maybe making systems more like cohesive and locked in, and for example, like you look at like a United, for example, like CELA's always gonna plan that, right? Like they're always gonna, it's never gonna be like, oh, no one's doing it because no one took initiative. It's locked in, right? So how can we get things like this to be locked in so that people have opportunities to grow and be involved? And I think we can do a better job of that for sure. There is ministry fair, but like, there's the initiative on the mentor side of things, right? You need to like reach out to them and do all that. So a matter of structure, initiative, mentorship. I think if we do a better job of that, that'll be, and inspiration as well. I remember the first worship night I ever attended at this school, like that changed my life. That made me want to like, lock in with stuff like this. So yeah. I don't think I actually like poured into like the whole pastoral thing, because like that's a whole other thing too. Like people tell me like I should be a pastor or whatever. Like I remember like had a love-hate relationship with it, because like even running for class pastor my senior year, I was like, wow, this feels weird. Like like, because I think I definitely always like wanted to be a lawyer. Or
what's your major right now? Business?
So I'm marketing, pre-law, with a religion minor. Yeah.
Yeah. How does that impact with your calling?
Yeah. So, well, one, I think I chose marketing, not because it's easy, because I don't want to say it's easy, but I always say like marketing can go like this low-key like the gospel when you think about it. Like Jesus was an elite marketer. Like I think it's just intentional engagement. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
Like for example, like just thinking outside the box. I think I've always been that person. Like how can we do this different so it's better? You know what I'm saying? I love like innovating and like creating and whatnot. And so I think that also applies with law because like you need to like be convincing, you know?
Yeah.
And also I do like the world of business actually. Like I think innovation and like, you know, like working to like start something out of the dust is very, very cool and inspirational. And then when I think of law and ministry as well, I think of just like helping the lesser of these. That's what like my grandma's saying, help the poor and needy always, right? So, and also Jesus says that as well. So like you know, help the lesser of these. And you know, I was naked and he clothed me. I was hungry and he fed me. So like yeah, I think that also like kind of like addresses the vocation that Jesus calls us to. So yeah, I think that's kind of like how it helps my calling, kind of. I think law would be the end goal, kind of. Like, it'd be cool to, like, marketing, you could do a lot of things, like journalism or whatever. I don't necessarily have, like, a straight path of what I want to, like, do.
Yeah.
I would like to do multiple things in my life, so, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, like, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that it doesn't sound judgy. Like, I hope it doesn't take judgy, because I actually don't care.
No, I don't have a plan in my life.
No. I'm saying, how come... Because to me, it seems like religion and ministry is such a big part of your life. Why the minor? It could have been a major, or it could have been nothing. It could have just been a way of living your life.
Yeah. I think, like I said, like I think, me and like pastoral ministry have a whole nother thing, because I dislike people. I like love people, but I also like, you know, for example, like all the hurt that you said. Right? As much as I said, it did affect me and whatnot, right? But, like, for example, if I were in charge of that person that told me, like, oh, you know, they're our person the wrong, and I observed it, I'm like, you're fired, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Like, you know? So I have a low tolerance for, like, stupidity, even though myself, I'm goofy, you know? But, like you know, but like, stupidity in the sense of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, even, like, say I'm in charge of a church, right? And someone's arguing about, like, drums, you know? Like, bro, why are we arguing? Like, that's such a vain thing to be arguing about, right? Well, if you actually, like, believe in the great controversy and all stuff like that, right? There are people that need to be saved. There are people that need to be loved, clothed, fed, right? And we're over here arguing about drums in a church. Like that's actually, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like I just, you know, part of pastoral ministry is also shepherding as well. You can be a great speaker. You can be a great, you know, evangelist or whatever, but like you also have to shepherd people as well. And I think I am a people like I'm a hater at my core. I think I've said this before, but like I think I'm also like I am a people person. Like I said, like I love bringing people together. I love community. But I think the hard part for me is like navigating the politics of like, you know, of when that community comes in, like, you know, in a scuffle, if you will. I wouldn't say like I wouldn't be a pastor. Like I just don't think I could do that my entire life. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I also think like, for example, if I want to go to grad school and I got a theology degree, what am I going to do? Like, you know, like, same thing like with pre-law as well. Like that's why I didn't do like history pre-law or like a pre-law like major at a different school, because like if you don't go to grad school, then like you're just gonna teach or become a politician. So yeah
that's funny. Interesting. That is really that's a big thing when it comes to life in the church, because I feel like it's really easy for some reason as an organization to focus a lot on the political side of it, of like, oh, are we doing?
I enjoy that. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, I enjoy politics. But I also think like, for example, like I enjoy listening to the news. Like not enjoy, but like it captivates me, because part of your calling, honestly, is like, you know, what do you see is wrong, right? What makes you angry? What keeps you up at night, right? Like when it comes to like, for example, seeing innocent people getting, taken away or like being hurt, right? That makes me angry, right? Seeing, people in the street, like, not being fed, that makes me angry, right? And that's because that's what Jesus taught me to do, right? Not because like of my political views or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and seeing people like mocking God, like that also like makes me angry. And like, I think that all coincides with like your calling, so
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why, like, I also think I'm like a multifaceted person. Like not
Interested in
like,
everything.
not in like
Yeah.
a, like, oh, I'm him type way, but like,
No one was taking it like that.
I mean,
You're okay.
I don't know. You never know. But like, I think, like, I like to do different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love sports. I love playing sports. But like, I also like, debating. Like, I don't know. That might seem like a juxtaposition. I don't think so. But like, like I love having meaningful conversations, whatever. Like with people that disagree with me as well. But like I said, like back to that whole pastoral thing. Like if someone's like, tweaking, if you will, I'm just gonna be like, okay, there's, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a question that can be answered. You just love them regardless. And obviously, it might be hard to, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like just tolerating stupidity is just very, very, very hard. Yeah. But we're all called to it, I guess, not just pastors.
Yeah, stupidity is true in any profession you take, though.
Expand on that. But you know what I'm saying? Like in the pastoral role, for example, like if okay, I'm gonna get controversial. Like, yeah, this is gonna be crazy. Like say you have a church member, you're a pastor, right? And church members like, pastor, like, I think we need to bring segregation back. They straight up mean it.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, or like, like, or like even like say you're a woman pastor, right? And it's like, I just don't feel like you're like the shepherd that's meant to lead us.
That's true.
What you gonna do? I've seen some of my friends that are like girls that are theo majors, right? They straight up be like, all right, I'm not passing you the mic because you're a woman. Like it was a joke, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the dude, like low-key behind closed doors, is saying some crazy stuff, right? I'm not calling myself like perfect human being or anything like that, or like being performative because I'm like like whatever. But like I just think like that, like that stupidity. Like what do you do? Like that's specifically within the pastoral context.
True, yeah.
I don't know what you mean by like in other situations there's like because also I think it's the fact like God's involved with this. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like for God. Yeah. Like in like law, you could have someone like lie about something, and like when there's a bunch of lying in there. So like because it's specifically in the ministry of like loving people and like uplifting them. Yeah. So I think. Like I guess the question is like how do you change people like and you can't it's only God does that. How can you, even like when you're witnessing, like you're not doing anything, the Holy Spirit is, right? And so I guess the only thing you can do is love unconditionally, which is hard, but obviously there's things you don't stand for. Like if someone's like getting hurt, that's not okay. But what's a way that you can love with boundaries? Maybe that's maybe a whole different conversation. But maybe that's what it is. Love with boundaries. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we do have to end this episode, but I will say, I thank you for your time. I'm excited to see what your life will look like in a couple years from now. And I hope for the best.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked this episode and you want to support this podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment what you thought about this episode. No one's been using the comment section, and how am I supposed to know what to include, what conversations to have, what guests to have if no one's giving me any feedback? So please use that comment section. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you can hear more episodes just like this one. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.